Please join us in welcoming Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer at Hilton, Chris Silcock, in conversation with Skift Senior Hospitality Editor, Sean O'Neill.
Chris, thank you for joining us here at the Future of Lodging event here in London.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be home.
Yeah, it's been 4 years. You joined us at our Skift Tech conference in California. A lot has happened in 4 years.
A lot has happened, yes.
I think it's great that the Chief Commercial Officer of a McLean, Virginia-based company lives and works here in the UK. It sort of represents the global approach of Hilton.
I'm very thankful for that too.
I bet it's much more convenient for your family.
It is. Yes. Yeah.
I'm wondering, I asked earlier the Chief Financial Officer of Accor this question. I'm going to ask you the same. It's been about a month since Hilton gave an update. How is demand holding up? Is it still strong?
Yeah, well, listen, after a few years that we all know were probably the most difficult in our history, it feels pretty good to be in travel right now. Second half of last year, we saw demand recover in most parts of the world. First half of this year, we're seeing it recover in all parts of the world. And when you look at the key segments, leisure continues to be off the charts. Everybody's interrogating the data to see when this cracks, but it's not cracking. Business travel is back for us to pre-pandemic levels. It looks a little different from what it looked pre-pandemic, but it's back. And group is just accelerating. So, part of the struggle right now is dealing with the speed at which it's recovered all around the world.
Interesting.
So it's good.
So leisure, everyone is looking to see whether it might crack. So some people have a view that there's a lot of been pent-up savings, and then at a certain point it'll spend down. Goldman Sachs made an estimate that maybe it's by the third quarter, and a lot of Americans will have spent it down. But you at Hilton, you seem to have a point of view that on leisure and travel, your pricing power and your demand is going to stay strong for long term. So maybe unpack that.
Yeah, there is, a lot of money was pumped into economies around the world, and that fueled, whatever you want to call it, revenge travel, leisure, and we certainly see that. However, we have this hypothesis, we'll see whether it's true, that people having that period where they were not allowed to travel certainly caused them to come back with strength. But we think and we hear it's caused them to really value those experiences and that leisure travel. They bought, you've heard this said before, they bought all the things they can. Now they want experiences. And so we think it's going to continue. Many predicted it would have slowed down already, and it hasn't. So we really think, our CEO, says the phrase, the new golden age of travel, and we really believe, and the data supports it thus far, it's going to continue.
So that's the demand side of the equation, yes. And you believe there may have been a shift in how customers, the kinds of customers that are traveling with Hilton are probably ring fencing their spending to a certain extent, and it might be more resilient over a longer period of time, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And we see, usually travel, especially at some segments, is a leading edge to a softening in the economy. Mm-hmm. We're certainly not seeing that right now. Otherwise, we'd be seeing very different numbers than we're seeing at the moment.
And on the supply side, so you for many years you've been at Hilton now, and revenue management has been one of your main goals of trying to improve the game constantly. Also, you work with partners at Ideas as one of your tech partners. In around 2020, you raised your central reservation system up into the cloud. It helps make it a little more nimble. So is there anything you could talk about your technology game that could explain why you might be at a new, higher structural level at being able to?
Yeah, I mean, taking COVID, where obviously system use was lower, as an opportunity to lift up our distribution stack into the cloud, more modern technology, service-based, has really paid dividends. It enables us to innovate quicker. Some of the pricing innovations we've been able to roll out wouldn't have been possible without doing that work. Pre-COVID and pre-having distribution stack in the cloud, we actually used to limit access to our inventory and pricing just because there was a cost to every shop call.
Wow.
Now there are no limits, and literally in the last couple of weeks, Monday is the busiest day always. we hit 1 billion transactions in a day, and the system is robust. It auto expands based on transaction volume. So a huge enabler to future innovation.
So what do you mean by like 1 billion transactions? You mean like, what is it, calls on the system?
Yes,
or what is that?
yeah, that's right. Not reservations. I'd like to do 1 billion reservations in a day.
Right.
But, probably not quite there yet, but 1 billion transactions, right?
Okay.
Hitting our distribution stack.
And you recently hit a milestone a couple months ago with your loyalty program. So what's significant about that as well?
Yeah, you know, COVID was interesting in that respect because whilst people didn't travel, we saw the return of our loyal customers very quickly. We're already back to above pre-pandemic contribution to occupancy of loyalty in the 60% range. Last year, we hit the milestone of 150 million members. We had our biggest year last year of adding members, 24 million, you know, fastest growing program in hospitality. So it's a huge part of our business, and you know, we kind of judge success on the use, active users, how many members are joining, and so thus far, seeing very good numbers.
So like at 150 million now, and that's like a 50% jump over like 3 or 4 years. It's and those customers tend to book more direct, which is lower cost than
That's right.
the online travel agencies or other channels, and you have more loyalty. You have more first-party data, I guess, that you can.
Yes, that's right. They book direct more often, if not almost all the time. They stay more often, and you know, they're willing to share more information with us, meaning we can make the experience better for them over time. So hopefully a win-win.
Okay, so that's good, some strategy talk. Let's move on to something a little lighter. So social media and marketing. About a month ago, Paris Hilton worked with Hilton to create a 10-minute TikTok. And 10 minutes is an eternity on TikTok. We can't show you the whole video, although Chris might like it. We will show you a little clip of it here right now to show what that was like.
Would you watch a 10-minute TikTok?
No.
Well, you should. Because Hilton believes it matters where you stay, and the people that stay with this TikTok for the full 10 minutes are going to have a chance to win Hilton Honors Points, experiences, swag, and more. Is it going to be you?
No.
Good. Don't. But I will. And I'll get those Hilton Honors points.
Then we line dry the bedding, redress the bed, restock the fridge, mow the lawn, weed the garden, paint the window trim.
Just touch-ups.
Just touch-ups. And then we can lock up, bury the keys in a hole by the highway, and leave. I don't see what's so hard about that.
It's not that hard.
So I think it's a very cute video. It's not, I'm not the target audience probably, but it does seem like it
You're saying you didn't like it?
Oh no, I did like it. I think as a gay man, what Paris Hilton does sort of really resonates with me. I think she's very smart and sophisticated in what she does. But obviously that's for more the Gen Z, millennial, making the Hilton family brands more relatable.
Well, my son, when I told him we were doing this, he's 20, kind of looked at me and said, "Dad, what are you doing? Nobody does a 10-minute TikTok." Fortunately, I forced him to watch it, and he quite enjoyed it. But you know, it's an experiment, right? And it's a bit of fun. We're trying to be much more culturally relevant to what's going on at the time. Some things will work. This, fortunately, we're approaching 40 million views of the video, so it's, you know, it's doing well. We'll sometimes try things that are fun and they won't work, right? But it's just trying to be more, you know, in the stream of what people are doing in their social conversation, more culturally relevant. So
Hilton is one of the only major hotel companies that doesn't have a play in the vacation rentals and short-term rentals. So as Paris Hilton says, it matters where you stay is the campaign. Does this mean that from a commercial strategy point of view, you're staying out of that segment?
Listen, there's a lot has been said about this, and right now we're not in that business. Never say never, but there's no active plan. And at the heart of that, you know, we do believe it matters where you stay. We are, you know, pitching our tent on saying, if the stay is important to you, then our brands are the ones to choose. We care about the stay. Not everything to do with travel, as some are saying, but the stay, that's our speciality. With vacation rental, home sharing, it seems or it appears to be more difficult to control the quality of the stay. as well as it's more difficult to surround it with service and hospitality. And that's what we are as a hospitality company. So that's at the heart of kind of our position.
Okay. I'm sort of wondering, like, maybe if we shift over a little bit to technology. So we have confirmed connected rooms. It's something you did in 2021. You've done a lot of tech in the past 7 years. What is one or two things that you're most proud of your tech refresh?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very, you know, having had kids, I still have them actually. It's not past tense. Everybody knows, you know, the anxiety that comes with requesting a connecting room and not knowing if you're going to get it until you arrive at the hotel. So being able to take that anxiety off of people so that they can worry about something else or enjoy travel, you know, we were pretty proud of. We, you know, booked well over 1 million connecting rooms last year, and it was the shift of our distribution stack into the cloud that enabled us, you know, when you're shopping on our website or our app and you book connecting rooms, it's going straight into the PMS and blocking those rooms so that they are guaranteed to be blocked for you. So we love that. Everybody's heard, you know, everyone's doing straight to room. You know, we still have, we're very proud of the floor plans, so you get to choose your room, digital key on your phone, digital checkout. You know, and we've opened over 200 million doors with that solution, so customers are using it. And, you know, connecting rooms is really the first kind of step into, you know, the mass customization or personalizations of people's travel with us. You know, at the moment, you know, you book a standard room or a superior room or an exec room or a suite, but across, you know, our hotels, there are so many different features to rooms, and we're going to unbundle those. Connected room is the first step, giving customers the ability to tell us what's important to them, and then us match them to a specific room, not a room type or a category, but a specific room that makes their stay more the way they want to do it. So very exciting.
So let's build on that a bit. So earlier, my colleague Dennis Shaw was talking with a top executive at Booking.com, and they were talking about how as generative AI and all these new technology platforms change, the way people are presented with offers is going to change. And so the idea of just a static web page or a static list, as you're saying, of the king, single, double. So are you going to move to like attribute-based booking, is it called, or?
Definitely, the attributes are going to become part of the personalization.
So this is kind of like a Build-A-Bear model, so you can like a la carte, you choose something, or maybe you answer some questions, or you have some information that they know about you, and you get pushed something.
Yeah, it will be a combination of. So right now, customers can, you know, select their favorite room, right, and say they like it. So we can take that and understand the attributes of that room and therefore learn and try and recommend when they visit another hotel what room they may like. So I think it will be a combination. One of us learning through behavior, two of us asking and getting answers, and then pushing that all together to try and deliver exactly what the customer wants. We also want to enable them to book more of what the hotel has to offer. So rather than just a room, you know, do they want food and beverage on one, you know, breakfast one day, dinner another? Do they want other services that the hotel offers, spa, gym, and do they want to, you know, secure that up front and make that part of their package, right? So it becomes a very personalized set of products and services that make up their travel with us.
Is any of that testing actually happening in the wild? Is there someone looking at their app and they're actually getting recommended something based on the previous trip that they've had?
Not yet. The favorites is there. The add-ons is there. So now we've just gone into pilot of being able to pick 3 or 4 other things to add into your stay and then be priced.
So it might be like an early checkout or something.
Yeah,
an early check-in, late checkout.
Yes, exactly. You know, parking. Pet friendlies is a big COVID trend that we've lead into and is driving lots of preference. And we've also, I think somebody earlier was mentioning categories on Airbnb. We found that having those kind of filters are successful, which kind of narrows down the hotel rather than the room.
So the category might be like what would be an example of that?
Well, a filter for us would be, you know, the most popular filters at the moment are, does it have EV charging?
Okay.
Right?
EV,
Car,
electric vehicle, yeah.
Yes. Is it pet friendly? And then you get to the more traditional beach, pool kind of things.
Interesting. So brands, when you last were on stage 4 years ago, you had 14 brands. Now you have 19 brands. You just introduced the latest one. It's only available in the States. It's called Spark by Hilton. Right. What is, for people outside the U.S. who may not know as much about it, what is significant about your move into this category?
Yeah, I mean, it's our first move into economy, chain scale. So that's significant. And, we learned during COVID, because when there was no business, you look around and you tap into anything that is traveling, right? And we learned there was a huge demand for our brands from travelers that thus far couldn't afford, the chain scale. Also, as we looked at the economy segment, we didn't think there was a real premium, quality, consistent player, which is, what we want to be and we are known for. So it's a premium economy product, simple, clean room, just what you need in it, limited F&B, a small kind of grab-and-go type breakfast. Launched, as you said, initially in the US. Just a couple of months in, we have hundreds of deals flowing, so it's going to grow quickly. And our objective is really to bring a new level of quality and consistency to this price point.
Is there an international opportunity with that?
Definitely.
Okay. What else would you say is missing sort of in, should we expect that there's more brands? You're at 19 now, there's more to come?
Yeah, we're not, as you know, if you study, we don't we're organic growth, we don't purchase, we kind of build and put together brands. We feel it enables us to keep the swim lanes cleaner and keep the quality of the products in the brand higher. And we continually look across the chain scales and listen to customers. We think we have pretty good coverage, but I'm sure we'll find some gaps, possibly in the luxury lifestyle area. Possibly, we have 3 extended stay brands, but that is obviously with leisure a very popular and high demand segment at the moment. So nothing coming soon, but we'll
those are areas of interest, right?
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So right before we go to audience questions, and we encourage everyone, you can ask questions in the app. I did want to ask about China, because that's something we haven't gotten to today. It's a huge market, and Hilton stands out a bit based on your competitors. You in Asia Pacific, you have about 630 hotels running right now overall. More than 500 of those are just in China specifically. So it's a big bet on China, and your plan by 2025 to try to double that in China. So why the bet in China?
Well, it's a huge market, right? There's lots of travelers. There's exploding middle class. It's a great feeder market to the rest of the world. So, China, India, these markets just make sense. And we're very fortunate in that our 100-year legacy, some of the first brand hotels in these markets were Hilton brands, and therefore we already have an affinity from the customers, which is very beneficial. So a lot of the recent growth is, we have Hampton by Hilton growing fast, Home2 by Hilton, Hilton Garden Inn, our luxury brands, Conrad and Waldorf do very well. So we're trying to build out a more complete set of offering for customers, both for the domestic market, which is strong, but also to get affinity, get loyalty customers, and then hope that when they choose to travel internationally, they'll choose our brands too.
Yeah. It's amazing that you have that brand equity there. So we do have some audience questions. So talking distribution, how are the various online travel agencies supporting Hilton's objectives? What could they do better outside of lowering the standard question of margin? We had Booking.com here. We're also going to hear from Google later today.
Is that an offer to lower the margin? Is that what's
Might be an option to lower the margin. Maybe you have to ask.
Maybe. No, listen, there's no secret. A few years ago, there was a bit more of a wrangle between direct booking and OTAs in order to get...
Your campaign was Stop Clicking Around.
It was Stop Clicking Around. That's exactly right. And, that was purposeful and in some way, a push from our owners, who ultimately pay that margin, to ensure we got it down to a reasonable level. We have now very strong relationships, lots of OTAs, obviously, mainly Expedia and Booking.com, and increasingly we see less overlap, right, in customers, and we see them as a good source of what can be expensive to acquire leisure, infrequent travelers. Our job then, obviously, is to live up to our objective and make the stay so fantastic that they choose to buy us and preference us in the future.
And to follow up on that, I was talking with my colleague, Wouter Gertz, the head of Skift Research, and he was wondering, so do you offer all the connected rooms and choose your own room and room key? Do people come in through those indirect channels?
So actually during COVID, we built out for Booking.com and Expedia the ability for customers to get digital key, contactless check-in, etc. It's not as seamless, just by definition, by the connectivity of the technology, but it is there. Connecting rooms, we're starting to distribute it more through partners, but it will take time. And ultimately, we don't want to limit a guest's experience of Hilton, right? Because however they choose us, we want them to have a fantastic experience. It is easier to put these things into direct channels first, and then over time, take them throughout the distribution.
So as part of the customer-centric strategy, you will eventually extend it out, but you just haven't gotten there yet.
We will. Now, I'm not saying there won't be things that we choose not to, but in general, the kind of guiding principle is we don't want to make a stay worse purposefully.
Okay.
Right? That would be a bad thing to do.
And a follow-up question that we have here is that's sort of related is, do you feel attribute-based selling gives you a competitive advantage when guests are looking to book direct? And again, attribute-based selling, it's sort of, I don't know if you remember Build-A-Bear or Mr. Potato Head. If you think of putting the different parts, I want to have a room view, I want to be away from the elevator, I want to have, you put these little attributes, and then your price changes, goes up and down. That's one model. There's different ways of doing it. Presumably, the online travel agencies can't offer that at the same time. You'd have to give them more static rates.
Yeah, it will be much, much harder. And one of the key pieces of that is knowing what the customer wants, right, and what their preferences are. And so obviously, with those that book direct and join on us, they share more of that preference data with us, and then we can use it to make their stay better. So those things definitely will appear in direct channels first.
So, there's this fascinating tension because it seems like I was very impressed that the Hilton led the U.S. hotel groups in sort of this push against the online travel agency groups, stop clicking around, helping people understand the advantage of booking direct. And it seems to have gained traction. You see the numbers for your company and others have taken share direct. But I do wonder, we heard earlier today from Booking.com, they can invest all this money in the generative AI, the next level, add that into voice search. Hilton doesn't, you have a great tech team, but it's hard to compete. So do you have any concern that the swing in the balance is that you're going to be in the wrong direction?
No, and I apologize, this is going to sound repetitive, but the reason that the core of our strategy is a better experience is exactly that, right? So, if you look at the Expedia plugin to, whatever it's called.
ChatGPT.
Thank you very much. It is the first step to conversational commerce. It is reducing, what was said earlier, the page significantly to 2 or 3 options. And so whoever chooses those options is quite powerful. Our objective is to have the preference of the customer to their technology to be Hilton brands. If the customer tells the technology, this is what I like, then that's what the technology is going to return to them. And how we do that is by every time they're in one of our hotels, they have a better experience than anyone else. So it's a very simple strategy. Just make the product and the experience better, right? And then whoever and however this technology evolves over time, which it will, and others will evolve faster than us, just by definition of their spend, we're still going to be okay because the customer will say, I want to stay at Hilton.
So a huge part of the commercial strategy is that marketing, branding message of you, in conjunction with offering the experience. So you're also repeating and making sure Hilton is part of it.
Yeah, and branding and marketing is clearly important, but you've got to back it up.
Right, with the actual operational
right. So, we're in the commercial team, people often think, all we care about is the top line revenue. No, our biggest strategy is to differentiate the experience, right, throughout the whole company.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you before ChatGPT replaces me and the need for me. I've really enjoyed speaking with you.
Yeah, great. Thank you very
Chris.
much.
Cheers.
Thank you.